Good day everyone, I am Ryan Jerome from section B1. Today we will be talking about traits and personality by Gordon Allport. Who is Gordon Allport? Gordon Allport was born in 1987 in Montezuma, Indiana and died on 1967. He was the youngest of 4 sons and grew up with a strict religious mother and a father who went from salesman to a doctor. He has a brother who became a social psychologist who competed with him throughout his childhood. And lastly, he brought personality into the mainstream. In 1937, Gordon Allport published Personality, a psychological interpretation. The book was an immediate success and remains a landmark in the study of personality. Thus, Allport remains two purposes. He helped bring personality into the mainstream and he formulated a theory of personality development in which traits plays a prominent role. Gordon Allport disputed Sigmund Freud's psychoanalysis on several points. First, Allport did not accept the notion that unconscious forces dominate the personality of normal, mature adults. Second is with regards to historical determinism. And third, Allport opposed collecting data from pathological subjects. In his book, Pattern and Growth in Personality, Allport reviewed some 50 definitions of personality before offering his own. Allport considered personality to be discrete or discontinuous. Not only is each person distinct from all others, but each adult is also divorced from his or her past. What is traits? According to Allport, it is the distinguishing characteristics that guides behaviors. Traits are measured on continuum and subject to social, environmental, and cultural influences. He summarized the characteristics of traits as follows. First, personality traits are real and exist within each of us. They are not theoretically constructs or labels made up to account for behaviors. Second, traits determine or cause behavior. They motivate us to seek appropriate stimuli and they interact with the environment to produce behavior and etc. Initially, Allport proposed two types of traits, individual and common. Individual traits are unique to a person and define his or her character, while common traits are shared by a number of people, such as a member of a culture. Personal dispositions. These are traits that are peculiar to an individual, as opposed to traits shared by a number of people. Allport realized that some confusion could result from calling both of these phenomena traits. He later revised his terminology. They may be cardinal traits, central traits, or secondary traits. Cardinal traits, the most pervasive and powerful human traits. A cardinal trait is so pervasive and influential that it touches almost every aspect of a person's life. He offered the examples of sadism and chauvinism. Central traits, the handful of outstanding traits that describes a person's behavior. Allport's examples are aggressiveness and self-pity. Secondary traits, the less important traits, which a person may display inconspicuously and inconsistently. As Allport developed his system, he argued that traits and personal dispositions are distinct from other characteristics, such as habits and attitudes. What is habits? Habits is an inflexible response to a specific stimuli. Several habits may combine to form a trait. What is attitude? According to Allport, attitude is so similar to traits. However, attitudes have some specific object of references and involves either positive or negative evaluations. Proprium is Allport's term for the ego or self. As we notice, Allport chose the term proprium for the self or ego. He rejected the word self and ego because of the diversity of the meaning ascribed to them by the other theorists. Stages of development. Allport describes the nature and development of the proprium over the 7 stages, from infancy through adolescence. The first stage of development is the bodily self. Stages 1 to 3 emerge during the first 3 years. Second is self-identity. Children realize that their identity remains intact despite the many changes that are taking place. The third one is the self-esteem, where the children learn to take pride of their accomplishments. Fourth, extension of self. In this stage, children comes to recognize the object and people that are part of their own world. Fifth, self-image. Children develop actual and idealized image of themselves and their behavior and become aware of satisfying. The next one is self as a rational coper. Children begin to apply reason and logic to the solution of everyday's problem. The last one is the appropriate striving. It develops during adolescence. Young people begin to formulate long-range goals and plans. Adulthood. Adulthood is normal. Mature adults are functionally autonomous, independent of childhood motivates. They function rationally in the present and consciously creates their own lifestyle. Allport and 2 colleagues, which is Vernon and Lindsay, in 1960, developed an object of self-report assessment test called the study of values. The categories of 6 values are as follows. First is the theoretical values. This is concerned with the discovery of truth and are characterized by an empirical, intellectual, and rational approach to life. Second is economic values. These are concerns with useful and practical. Third is aesthetic values. It relates to artistic experiences and to form harmony and grace. Fourth is social values. It reflects human relationship, altruism, and philanthropy. Fifth is political values. It deals with personal power, influence, and prestige in all endeavors, not just in political activities. Lastly, religious values are concerns with the mystical and with understanding the universe as the whole. And this ends my discussion. I hope you learned something. Thank you and God bless.